The Emperor's Fury. The Byzantine Emperor Heraclius, master of the civilized world, unleashed the full might of his empire to crush the new faith emerging from Arabia. His army was an unstoppable ocean of steel. But this story is not about the emperor's fury. It is about the man God chose to break it. It is the story of Khalid bin Waleed, may Allah be pleased with him, the sword of Allah, and how his genius turned a battle of annihilation into one of history's most stunning victories. The tale begins in Heraclius's gleaming capital of Constantinople, where a man who knew only victory was about to taste his first devastating defeat. He had crushed the mighty Persian Empire and stood as the undisputed master of the world. So when reports reached him of his armies in Syria being defeated by these upstart warriors, his response was not concern, it was fury. He resolved to assemble a force so massive, so overwhelmingly powerful, it would not just defeat them, it would erase them from history. From every corner of his vast Christian empire, the legions were summoned. A terrifying sea of humanity began to gather in Syria, a wave of steel and faith poised to crash down on the Muslims. Historians estimate the force at over 150,000 men, legions of disciplined infantry, elite armored cavalry known as cataphracts, that were the tanks of their day, and thousands of allied Arab tribesmen. Priests holding golden crosses marched with them, their chants promising divine favor in a holy war to reclaim the land. This was the full annihilating might of a superpower, and it was aimed at a scattered force of no more than 40,000 Muslims. The four small Muslim armies in Syria, realizing they were facing annihilation, pulled back and consolidated their forces on the plains of Yarmouk. Their commanders were heroes of Islam, men like the gentle and pious Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah, may Allah be pleased with him. But even their great faith was shaken by the spectacle before them. The endless ocean of enemy tents, the rumble of 100,000 soldiers, the glint of the sun on a forest of spears. It was a sight designed to shatter the soul. They were not facing a battle. They were staring into the maw of an apocalypse.
The unthinkable. March. As dread began to creep into the Muslim camp, a decision was made hundreds of miles away that would alter the fate of the world. The Caliph knew that this existential threat required a unique solution. An urgent message was dispatched, not with reinforcements, but for one man, Khalid bin Waleed, may Allah be pleased with him, who was commanding armies on the Iraq front. The order was simple: proceed to Syria and take command. Khalid's response was anything but simple. To save time, he chose a route that was considered suicidal, a direct 5-day march across the waterless, featureless Syrian desert. No army had ever survived it. His men carried their water in the bellies of camels, which they slaughtered along the way, to drink the stored fluid and eat the meat. It was a brutal, death-defying gamble, and when Khalid and his small, dust-caked force of elite cavalry finally arrived at Yarmouk, they seemed more like ghosts than saviors. Their arrival was a relief, but it also brought a new tension. The official commander-in-chief was Abu Ubaidah, a man beloved by the Prophet and known for his piety. Khalid was the fearsome military genius, but Abu Ubaidah was his senior in spiritual rank. In a moment of profound humility that captured the spirit of their cause, Abu Ubaidah immediately offered the supreme command to Khalid. "The welfare of the Muslims comes first," he insisted, placing his trust in Khalid's unmatched expertise in war. Khalid accepted, knowing that the weight of their people's very existence now rested squarely on his shoulders. A plan that defied all logic. As Khalid bin Waleed surveyed the endless enemy lines, he did not see an invincible giant. He saw a clumsy, overconfident beast, riddled with internal divisions between its Greek, Armenian, and Arab factions. His mind, a razor-sharp instrument of war, began to formulate a plan so audacious and unconventional that it must have sounded like madness to the other commanders. He would not simply meet the enemy's charge, he would orchestrate a 6-day symphony of destruction.
His first move was radical. He completely shattered the traditional tribal structure of the Muslim army, reorganizing them into 38 smaller, unified corps. This masterstroke broke down old rivalries and forged them into a single, cohesive fighting machine. His second innovation was the creation of the Mobile Guard, an elite cavalry reserve of 4,000 of the best horsemen, which he would command personally. This unit was his trump card, a fluid, rapid response force he could deploy anywhere on the battlefield to exploit a weakness or crush a threat. For 4 agonizing days, Khalid played a dangerous game. He allowed the Byzantines to throw the full weight of their army against his lines. The Muslim soldiers, outnumbered 4 to 1, braced against charge after charge of the terrifying cataphracts. The fighting was a hellish meat grinder. The lines bent, they buckled, they almost broke. But each time a section was about to collapse, the Mobile Guard would appear as if from nowhere, crashing into the enemy's flank like a thunderbolt, shattering their attack and forcing them back. The Muslims were bleeding and exhausted, but they were also draining the larger army of its strength and, more importantly, its will to fight. The sword of Allah is unleashed. On the evening of the 5th day, with the Byzantines frustrated and their commanders arguing amongst themselves, Khalid made his move. He dispatched a small regiment on a covert night mission to capture a small bridge over a deep ravine, the only escape route for the entire Byzantine army. By dawn, the trap was set. The 6th day broke under a strange, dust-filled sky. A fierce wind blew directly into the faces of the Byzantines, blinding them with sand. Khalid saw it as a sign from God. The time for defense was over. He rode before his exhausted, bloodied men, his voice a roar that cut through the wind. "Paradise is before you, the devil and hellfire are behind you." He ordered a full-scale, simultaneous attack across the entire front. As the two armies clashed in a final apocalyptic struggle, Khalid unleashed his Mobile Guard for one last decisive charge. But this time, he did not ride to save a collapsing flank. He led them on a wide, galloping arc around the entire battlefield, falling upon the rear of the enemy command. The shock was absolute. Attacked from the front, and now collapsing from behind, the Byzantine army broke. Chaos erupted. The retreat became a terrified, stampeding rout. But when the fleeing soldiers reached the ravine, they found their escape cut off. Trapped between the relentless charge of the Muslim army and the sheer cliffs, the most powerful force the emperor could muster was systematically annihilated. This was the culmination of the title given to Khalid years earlier by the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, himself. At the Battle of Mu'tah, after 3 commanders had been martyred, the Prophet, who was in Medina, was granted a vision of the battlefield. He announced the deaths of his companions, then looked up and declared, "Until a sword from the swords of Allah took the banner, and Allah granted victory through him." As recorded in Sahih al-Bukhari, Hadith 4262, that sword was Khalid bin Waleed. At Yarmouk, the sword of Allah did not just win a battle. He shattered an empire and secured the future of his faith for generations to come.